How y'all doing? I'm James, and welcome back to Storytime with James. Okay, look, this is a video I done a while ago, and it's called "What Happened to Your Eyebrow?"
Eyebrow.
All right, check it out.
Check it out.
Something in the hotel. I forget what he did, but we didn't catch him. So I was running up in a garage, running up, running down, running up, running down. It was one of those elevated garages with three floors. So I was running up, running down, running up, running down. But you know, I was running anyway, so it didn't affect me, you know. But then when I got to the top, back up to the top, and I told them, I got on the radio and I said, hey, look, we couldn't find him. We couldn't find the guy, you know. But I was manager, you know. But I kept a radio with me, you know, so I can communicate with everybody, especially with the security department. So I told him, I said, hey, I don't know. He probably left. We can't find him. They said, okay. Then right in my field of vision was a black dot. A black dot. Little bitty black dot. Maybe like a pen. Like a pencil. Like this. So it moved. Every time I looked somewhere, it moved. And I said, okay, well, maybe it's nothing, you know. Then it was gone. So I thought it was gone. So when I got inside, I pulled up on a computer and was checking in a guest. A guest was out there, and I was helping checking in because they were swamped up there at the front desk. So I was helping them check people in. And then right in the field of my vision was that black dot again. I thought it was something flew past, because every time I looked somewhere, it would move. So I did like this. You know, I thought it was a fly. So this kept going on. So till finally it caused me some concern. So I went into the restroom and looked in the mirror. And I couldn't see nothing. I couldn't see a dot. You know, I was looking at my eye and I couldn't see nothing. So I said, okay, well, it's probably nothing. So then I was up at the front desk again, and then there it was again. It was bigger then. This time it was a little bigger. So I said, what is this? So I was at the computer already, and then I looked up a dot, black dot in your field of vision. And it came up with the news. It said detached retina. Yes. I didn't know what it was. You see, I didn't know what a detached retina was. But they said it was an emergency. So it was late at night because I worked the night shift. So I worked from 12 to 8. So then I read further, and it said that it's in the back of your eyeball is your retinas attached. So there was a little hole in there or something, but it comes up as a black dot. So after that, I start feeling sad, you know, inside, you know. So I went, when I kept working, you know, worked until it was time to get off. And then I told everybody as I was leaving, I said, there may not be another James. Okay. So they said, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I said, look, what I'm saying is that I don't know if I'm coming back. They said, what's wrong? What's wrong? And then I walked off. I left, and I immediately went to the eye doctor. I went to the eye doctor and they dilated my eye and they said, oh man, oh. He said, you got to detach a torn retina, you know. So I said, what? How did they say? Hey, it can happen. It's a number of things could have caused it, you know. So they said, this is a level 4, okay? Level 5 being the highest, okay? They said level 4, emergency. So you can't go back to work. So I said, man, what am I doing? They said, we'll fax the paperwork over to you. Give us the number. I gave them the number, and they faxed it over to my job. Okay. So they said, look, go home. Don't do nothing strenuous. We schedule you for surgery tomorrow. Okay. Oh man. So I went home and I laid down. And then the next day, I went to the Vitro Retro Center, okay, where they dilated my eyes again, and they performed laser surgery. So they did the laser thing, and then put a patch over my eye, and they said, hey, when you get home, lay flat on your stomach. Don't lay like this or like this. Just lay flat down on your stomach. For 3 weeks. Lay like that. And I said, what? So I went home and I did what they said. Then I went back to have them check. And they said, look, when you go back home, lay on your back for 3 weeks. I said, yeah. So I got on my back for 3 weeks. Then they said, lay on my right side for 3 weeks. Then lay on your left side for 3 weeks. You know, it was crazy. Then I went back. They said, oh, it still ain't right. It still ain't attached right. You're going to have surgery where they go inside your eye. So I got prepped for surgery, and they cut inside my eye and stuff. Did what they did. I couldn't see it, but I did wake up while they had the tube in my mouth, and they thought I was still asleep. And I was like, I was cursing, trying to curse, but I didn't know I had a tube down my throat to keep me from, you know, for breathing and stuff. So I'm trying to curse, but I could feel my voice was real hoarse, like, but they had me strapped down so I couldn't, you know. So then they said, put them back under. And they gave me some more of that morphine stuff, and then I was back out again. When I woke up, the surgery was done. But when I woke up, it was weird because I can see them doing, I guess they were putting the stitches in there. So after that, it took them a long time to wake me up. I remember I would wake up, I'd be like, and then pass back out. Then I wake up, and then I pass back out. And the doctor, I distinctively remember the doctor saying, if he don't wake up, he's going to have to stay until tomorrow. So I forced myself up. I said, get the wheelchair, get me out of here. So they got the wheelchair and they rolled me out into the car. And I fell asleep on the dashboard with my head on the dashboard. But I had a pillow down there because I had to lay forward. I had my head on the pillow. And when I got home, this is the worst part. My son and my nephew had to they tried to carry me inside. We had to go up some stairs, and then before you go on the front door. and they tried to pick me up, and I could feel myself raising up, and I snapped out of it. Then I said, "Put me down," and I got down. I said, "I can do it myself," and I walked up, and I made it up them stairs, and they got my arms, and then I was walking, and then I fell on the bed. I can't remember nothing. But this is the first time they ever had to assist me. Anybody had to assist me with getting to the bed or walking or anything, you know. So that made me feel bad. So I woke up and I had a big patch on my eye. And I had to keep that patch on for a month. So all this time I was off work. All this time I was off work for like 3 months, you know. And I had to get back to work. You know, I had to, or else, you know, I would have lost my job. So I was feeling bad, feeling real bad, you know. But they worked it out. They said, look, if you can come to work one day, then go back home, you can do it. So I got to work, and they allowed me to come to work, but I kept my head down like this. So I worked for a couple of hours and then went back home and back in the bed. But the anesthesia that they gave me was taking a long time to wear off. So I would wake up to eat something, and then I would literally go to sleep in my plate, fall out in my plate. So after that, I started, the anesthesia wore off and everything like that, and I was able to kind of walk around, you know, but I had to keep my head down when I walked around. And then I started feeling, what do you, man, I just started feeling real bad, you know, depressed, you know, because I figured with my eye messed up, if my eye wouldn't have got better, I wouldn't be whole anymore. I wouldn't be whole, you know. So I was thinking about it every day. And that's how depression sets in. You thinking about something every day, thinking of it, you know. And then I had to, you know, family members will come around you. They say, let me see your eye, let me see your eye, let me see your eye. Oh God, did it hurt? Did it hurt? You know, everybody kept asking me about my eye. They kept asking me, you know, and I just felt bad, you know. So then, after so long, my eye wouldn't get better. It wouldn't get better. Even though they did surgery, even though they went inside and everything and tried to, I don't know what they did, you know. So after that, it started getting better. So I went back to work. But I still had the patch on my eye. So then finally I took the patch off and I went to work. But they said don't do no running or nothing like that. But you know, it's hard for me not to run, you know, especially since I've always ran. I would always run, but I didn't do it, you know. So I just would walk, and I would just help the front desk with the computer and stuff like that. Then one day I was at work, and I got an excruciating headache right over my eye, right in the back of my eye, in the back of it. And it felt like my head was going ready to explode, you know. So it kept persisting, and I took some Tylenol 4, I guess that's what it is, Tylenol 3s or something like that. They were real strong, but they would numb the pain just a little bit. So I called the eye doctor and told him, I said, hey, look, I need to come in. It's an emergency because I'm going crazy here. This pain is constant now. So I went in there and he checked my eye and he said, you got fluid. It's real tight in your eye. He said, I said, can you please do something? I begged him to do something. And he stuck a needle in my eye while I was woke. He stuck a needle in there, and as soon as he stuck it in there, some fluid came out of it. And then he put one stitch in there. So, oh my goodness. Then after that, my eye wasn't good, you know. It still wasn't good. So I went to the hospital and they stuck something in my tear duct to make tears come out. So tears successfully came out and they had me to read a chart, and I was able to read the whole chart like this with this one eye, you know. I was able to read it. And it was good. So I resumed as normal, you know. Boy, a week after that, the pain set in again. That excruciating, pounding pain. Boom, 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 boom. Fluid was building up on my eyes again. So I went back to the Vitro Retro Center, and they told me, They aspirated my eye again. They stuck a needle in there and got the fluid. As soon as they got the fluid off, I felt 100% better. And he said that now I've got glaucoma in this eye caused by surgery. Can't win for losing. So they scheduled me for more surgery. Now look, by now, the medical expenses and me being off work, it was putting a big strain on me. It was putting a real big strain on me. You know, because I was already suffering with a little bit depression, and then I had to worry about my job, you know, and, you know, everything, you know. Then I was worried about my eye, you know. So after they did the surgery again, and I end up having to lay down like that again, on my side, on my back, on my, you know, it was just getting too much. And then they told me, they said, look, too much. If you have another surgery, they may have to take your whole eyeball, okay? They may have to take your whole eye, all right? And I didn't want that. So one night I was sitting there just thinking, what was I going to do? What was I going to do? Because this eye was going to be so damaged if they did another surgery on it, that they was going to have to take the whole eye and put a glass eye in there. I didn't want that. I wanted the eye that God gave me. Even though if it don't work properly, long as it's there. Okay? So I went to the Vitro Retro Center, and they said, hey, now you're getting cataracts on it. Okay? So they removed it. Within 3 weeks, well, 2 weeks, it was back again. So they removed it again. Back again. Remove it again. So finally, I had to do it. I told them, I said, look, I don't want y'all messing with my eye anymore. That's it. Now, you had 2 chances to do surgery on it. You did laser surgery, and you aspirated it like 2 or 3 times. That's it. No more. Just let it alone. Let me live my life. All right. So he gave me some drops to put in my eye. These were drops to stop the fluid from building up in my eye. So I would put those drops in every day. You know, kept putting the drops in there. And then finally, it stopped. It's the pressure stopped building up in my eye. It just completely stopped. Without me even knowing, you know. So it completely stopped. And I didn't want any more surgery done to it. So, but that has its challenges too, because now all I had was the peripheral, you know, looking out of the sides of my eye. You know, I can see stuff when it moves on the side of me, but so that did something to my depth perception. Like if you held a pen like this, I couldn't grab it, you know. You know, like this, like I can do it now, but then I would go past it. Just keep going like that. When somebody threw a ball at me, it hit me in the chest before I try to grab, you know. So it took well, I was driving immediately. Because I just closed this eye like this, you know, and then drive, you know, at first. But finally, one day, my nephew had a football, and he was way back there, and he threw the football, and he threw it, and I caught it, and I said, hey, wait a minute, how was I able to do that? You know, how was I able to do that? Because this is the wonderful thing about the human body. If you get one arm cut off, all of a sudden this hand will take over everything. Will be able to do everything. Pick up stuff and do everything. Sooner or later you will compensate for a missing limb. You know, like your leg. If you get your leg cut off, probably you'll be leaning to one side, but you could stand on one leg. Then your balance will get superior, you know. Even with your ear, you can't hear out of this ear will take over everything. Then you will have super hearing out of one ear, you know. That's the same thing happened to my eye. With my eye, I start being able to see from this way, the frontal forward with this eye. With this one, I can see on the sides. The front eye can see from the sides too. So then it's been periods of time when I didn't even notice that this eye was messed up. You know, so this eye start compensating for this eye, you know. So I said, I don't want any more surgery. I don't know. I may go for some more laser surgery sometime in the future, you know. And that's just to get the cataracts off of my eye, you know. But I'm doing fine now. I'm doing fine. No pressure build up on my eye anymore or nothing like that. And I can drive. I can catch a ball. I can the pencil. Grab a pencil. If you hold something out to me, I'll just grab it. Just like that. Just like normal. But at first, that's what was lacking. Because I would reach out to grab something and it don't be there. It'd be over here somewhere, you know. Yeah. So make sure you like, subscribe, and leave me a comment if you like. And hit that bell notification. Hit that bell notification so that you know every time I drop another video. And share, share, share. Share my videos with everyone so everyone can get this experience. All right? Peace. Adios. Salamat.